they weren't my children. So there was this other person who could still come in and say, no, I'm doing this, no matter how much I tried to protect them from that.
Right.
And this is my child now.
You know, the shots you can raise her how you want.
Yeah, she'll never know that stuff. And I hope she has her own hardships, because I believe that like hardships.
All right, guys, welcome back. This is Nikki in Nashville. Here on the pod today, we have a very special guest. I actually just met, and she's you're stunning, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm gonna give you that compliment before we start.
So much. So are you.
Oh, thank you. I'm like fighting the urge to not say the people probably can't see you joke because she's wearing camo. But it's like so old now. I remind you gotta say like a kid on you are. Anyway, super cute, really fashionable. Naomi Johnson, how are you, lady?
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you. I'm great. I'm good to be here.
I'm happy that you're here
to do your show.
Heck yeah, thank you. Well, I think you guys will probably pick up on she has one of the most incredible stories that we're going to get into. So yeah, let's just dive right into it.
Okay.
But I want to first start with the music, because when people hear your music, I think they're going to fall even more in love with you. So you recently had your debut single come out, Bricks Make Houses.
Yes.
How did you come up with this? Kind of tell me the story behind this very first song, and then we'll dive deep.
Yeah. So, okay. This song is one of my favorite songs I've ever written. I have 10 brothers and sisters.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And yeah, so I'm one of 11 kids, and I'm dead in the middle.
Okay.
And I grew up, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So I'm the 5th kid, but we grew up really, really close to the land and really, really poor. And so this song, we lived in a renovated school bus for a few years and traveled around the US, and it was very humble, very, very rugged. But this song came about because I always had a lot of love in my family, despite having a lot of not having really anything else. And, we shared shoes and beds, and like I didn't have a new pair of shoes till I was like 17. I bought them myself.
Oh, wow.
So I, food stamp kid, food banks, church charities, like my entire life. So this song was inspired by that, but I always had a lot of love. I had parents that loved us a lot, and we love each other, and it's called Bricks Make Houses, People Make Homes.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Okay. So analogy is like, it's not necessarily the end product.
Yeah.
It's what makes the foundation and what makes the experience.
Yeah. And I mean, I've seen people who seemingly have everything except for love, and I
miserable.
Yeah. So that's where the song came out. That's what inspires it. And it means a lot to me.
Good. I love it. I love it. So you guys should definitely go check it out. So let's get into that story. Okay. 11 brothers and sisters, or 11 total.
Yeah.
Brothers and sisters, 11 total. And then your parents.
Yes.
In a renovated school bus.
Yes.
And you had like a place that you kind of parked and stayed, or you were very mobile throughout the country?
Mobile.
Very mobile. Okay.
We were transient. So my mother, I was born in Virginia.
Okay.
That's where we're originally from. All of us were born in Virginia except for the youngest.
Okay.
My mom was a midwife to the Amish communities in Northern Virginia and in that area. And so we lived among the Amish till we left in the bus. So I was like 7. And in order to interact with Amish, they don't really interact with the outside world, especially old order. The new order are more interactive. They have storefronts and stuff.
Sure.
This was an old order community, and they don't really interact with the outside world. So in order to be around them, you kind of have to look like them. And my parents knew that they wanted to live plainly and have a lot of kids anyway. So we weren't Amish, but we were very close with them.
I adopted that lifestyle.
Yeah.
Some of the cultural style. Okay.
So we still had a car and electricity and a phone.
Okay.
But no television, no school at all.
No school.
No school.
No school.
No schooling at all.
No homeschool. No, okay.
We did a little homeschooling, but it was sporadic and on and off. But I mean, I maybe have a 6th grade education.
But real world experience for you.
Real.
On the jump.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And the Amish, like the kids they have like little schoolhouses, but it's, when you turn 11, especially as a boy, like 11 or 10, you go right to working on the farm. Like your education's over. And they're not going to go out and be a doctor. So they really need to learn how to run a farm. And that's the age. So we left the Amish communities. My mom's job kind of took a turn. Like really the only people doing home births were super crunchy hippies and like
Yeah.
Amish and Mennonites.
Okay. And she was helping,
Yeah.
you said midwife to some of those
Yes.
community. Okay.
So we left the community, sold everything that we own. I say we, but my parents were really doing all this when I was a kid. This is all them.
Yeah.
But we got into the renovated school bus. We started traveling down the southeast. My mom was very well known for like child rearing. She was an herbalist and a midwife. So she was a very highly sought after midwife in that area.
Rural births.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so she was doing like seminars like herbalism and child rearing and stuff like that, seminars that started off really well, but they didn't have social media or anything then.
Okay.
So it started to kind of piddle out.
Yeah.
When you can't keep up with that type of a thing.
Promoting yourself and you're always moving. So there's not really the word of mouth to follow you.
Yes. Yeah. And, they had connections, but not many after we got out of that little area.
Right.
So the whole bus trip thing started off really cool. Like we lived in state parks and national parks, and my dad was a park ranger in Virginia. And and so we lived in those areas. And then, we were not in one place. We moved around a lot. We went from Virginia to Arizona in the span of like 4 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
Yes.
And so then at that time, did it become almost like it was their choice to do that, right?
Yeah.
Or it was just kind of like how you already always knew, so you just continued that lifestyle?
Interesting question. Yeah, I think it became a choice.
Okay.
But I think they started to get into a jam.
Mm-hmm.
There's also some mental health issues with both of my parents. They were like, both of them came from really abusive homes as children.
Okay.
And so they kind of found each other. They didn't have families, and those types of people find each other. But they didn't really have family connections, and my dad struggled with really, really deep depression. My mom has borderline personality disorder and bipolar disorder, and she's an alcoholic. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I understand the personality
trauma bond
thing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man. Let's start. Oh, God. Okay.
Yes. So, I think that with those types of mental health issues, you become very vulnerable and impressionable with other people who seemingly love you. And that led us into finding our way into a cult.
Oh, wow.
Was pretty insane.
Yeah. That sounds.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get there. I have so many questions along the way. Environment wise, you said you were sharing a lot of stuff. Are you still close with all of your brothers and sisters? Okay.
Yeah.
And you guys were close from the beginning. And okay.
Yeah.
Was there ever like fights? Was there ever like
Yes, there still are
all the time? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many of us. And, it's interesting with our dynamic because there's like an older half and a younger half.
Okay.
And the older kids raise the younger kids.
Gotcha.
And so there's more of a parental relationship between the older kids and the younger kids that was not exactly it was like out of necessity.
Sure.
And so it's different. It's like more of a maternal thing. And so that in itself, they have like, sometimes the younger kids will have like parental resentment towards us older kids. And we're like, we're not your frickin' parents. Yeah. You have parents to be pissed at,
Yeah.
But there's little groups like, 2 will be fighting with 2 and the other 2 will be like having a great time. And it's all over the place.
Off a little bit in some ways.
Yes. And we're all very, very individual people.
Okay.
So we clash sometimes, and sometimes we're all on the same page, and sometimes we're not. It's like, any wild ass family.
I bet. I'm an only child from my parents, and I couldn't even imagine like.
My husband's an only child.
Sure. Is he? Yeah. I'm just like, no, you can't use my stuff. Like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, how did you?
He's so funny. He uses this analogy sometimes when he's talking to people, or no, example, really. He's like, so when you're growing up as an only child, like you have your towel and your mom has her towel and your dad has his towel. Like Naomi just grabs whatever towel is dry. And I'm like,
yeah. What else did you do?
You even have a towel. Or I would get it and if 4 people had used it, like, that's what it's like.
More stuff. Yeah, gosh. I just think all the time I would take to like share these stories. This is great. I like this. your exposure culturally to music, was that something that you all shared as a family? Like, were you driving listening to songs? Did you have influences growing up, or did that come later in life?
It came a little later.
Okay.
Thank you for that question. It's a beautiful question. So, believe it or not, the Amish and Mennonite churches have some of the most beautiful music.
Yeah.
Like, it is like stepping back in time. It's all they know. They don't have instruments. So everyone learns harmonies, and it is just all these voices singing with all of their heart. And it's really beautiful. So that's the first real exposure to music I had, was like these incredible harmonies. Yes.
Okay.
And then my parents were very religious. So there was no radio. And then again, with the Amish, no radio, no secular music at all.
No outside music.
But yeah, no outside music. But I have a funny story, because the first time I heard a country song was Garth Brooks.
Oh.
And I was like 6. And my brother worked at a Mennonite dairy farm, like down the road. And the boys had found a radio and were like sneaking, listening to country music in the hayloft.
Oh my gosh.
And they had a Garth Brooks tape.
Your first.
And my brother took the cassette tape home and like played it in the room. That was the first time I heard Garth Brooks. But my music, yeah, it was Garth.
That's great.
The Mennonites love Garth.
Oh, do they really?
Did.
Shameless. Okay, yeah.
But like me being able to really steep myself in music came a little bit later.
Okay.
Once we kind of got out of this religious thing my parents were going through. And then they started playing music from their childhoods, and they were 70s kids, so it was like Allman Brothers and Fleetwood Mac, like amazing music.
100%.
And then I started getting into Alison Krauss and Brooks and Dunn and Shania. And yeah, so it came a little bit later. I was like 11, 12, 13 when I started to listen to outside music.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said from the beginning, you said this new song you just released was one of your favorite you've ever written. When did you start getting into songwriting?
I got into songwriting a little bit later too. Yeah. You know, I have a lot of friends that were like, even my husband, he was writing songs when he was 7. You know, so I learned how to play guitar in this cult.
Okay. All right. We'll go to the cult. So we're learning how to play guitar in the cult. Got it.
We got into this cult, which was insane.
Yeah. Can you share the name, or is that?
Yeah. Well, back then they called themselves The Group, which is very culty.
Yes.
Extremely culty.
Yeah.
And then we left that place, and they had so many people calling child services on them that they had to do a rebrand. And they didn't disband, but they like rebranded. They started calling themselves Rose Creek Village.
Okay.
And they started dressing more normal and like, you know, like nothing to see here. So I learned how to play guitar there, but all the children knew how to play guitar.
Okay.
All of them. It was very strange looking back.
Is that
all the adults
a leader influential thing, or they just picked it up in association?
Think that so they were super flamboyant, and they threw all these beautiful like parties and gatherings and stuff. And so music was a big part of that. And there was a couple in there, and I would like to find out who it was, because she was a pop songwriter.
Okay.
Who had ended up in this cult.
Interesting.
Yeah, and
like
she was
one?
I think a little bit, yeah. Because I remember her mentioning it, and I was little, and I didn't know that there were songwriters, you know? So she really headed off like all the music, and it was incredible. So I learned how to play my guitar there. We left the cult. I started playing my guitar on street corners for gas money, because we were completely broke. I mean, it was bad. Like, you give everything to these groups when you join, and that way you can't leave, right?
Yeah.
So I started playing my guitar on street corners for gas money, and that's where I really got the bug. I was like, whoa, I didn't know I could make money doing this, you know? And I was 9 or 8, and I was like, this is absolutely sick.
So first necessity, then joy and love and want.
Yeah. And so because we were so poor and there were so many other priorities of survival, I didn't know that I could like be an artist for a long time. I didn't know a single person that did music.
Yeah.
I wasn't encouraged into that direction. There was no one else really in my life going, whoa, you could do this like other people do. I just thought it was like, you know, rich kids that get guitar lessons end up being Shania. So I put it kind of on the back burner, and there was a little bit of trauma mixed in with it. So I kind of put it away for a little while. And then I started I started gigging again at 15, 16, where I was playing in bars and restaurants. And I didn't really start writing music till I was about like 19, 20.
So you're just doing covers
Yeah.
of, okay, just songs you've learned.
Yeah.
But then
I always wrote poetry, but I was so insecure about writing songs and like I didn't know anything about it. And I knew I was a great singer and a good guitar player. And so I just kind of stuck with that until I started to meet other people my age that were like writing songs. Yeah.
So as you started writing
later.
songs and you kind of like found your rhythm, like you started to put out new songs all the time, like what did that feel like? What did that look like? Were they experiential songs? Were you writing like dream songs, or like what was the style?
I think I was trying to just write things that I knew about, which at the time was like love and breakups and that type of a thing.
Yeah.
But I did not really write about this type of life that I'm writing about now, kind of at all.
Yeah.
I was writing about partying and friendships and breakups and
typical
love.
18-year-old.
Yes. Like, you know, I was 19, 20, so I'd had some of that experience, but I didn't really touch on any personal life stuff at all.
Okay.
And when I tried, it never felt like it didn't feel right. And I just felt like looking back now, I just didn't have the skill yet.
Okay.
And it took me years and years of development and being in these rooms with other insane songwriters that taught me how to be a songwriter.
Yeah.
And yeah, up until like the last few years, I kind of stayed away from it. And then I started just, we'll get into that later, but I started to write the stuff about my own life once I felt like I really had the songwriting chops.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So at what point did you make the decision to kind of go independent from your family and from what they were doing? Did you ever like completely leave them, go out on your own? Were you all kind of always together? Like what was that point where you just decided to go out and kind of pursue this on your own?
Yes. So yes, we were all together a lot. We all moved once the bus trip ended. My parents got divorced. Their marriage completely fell apart in the bus.
Okay.
And my brother, my oldest brother, he was a troubled guy and he was suddenly killed in a car accident.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
And my parents' marriage just did not survive it. And so anyway, we all moved to Florida.
Okay.
Absent of my dad. That's where I started gigging and playing in bars and taking on odd jobs. I was a bank teller and I did all kinds of stuff. But I learned how to play in bars and like started to entertain people there. And I met some other people my age that were doing it. And I was like, okay, this is cool. But I was like, I need to get like a real job. What's my future going to be like? Because I didn't have anything to fall back. Yeah. And so I considered like, do I go to college? But that intimidated me so much because I'd never been in a classroom.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't even think I can go to college. Like I like have like a 5th grade education. And then I kind of realized I was like, I don't think there's any class that can teach me to do what I want to do.
Yeah, I hear
And am I even freaking good enough to move to Nashville? Am I going to get absolutely squashed, you know? So I ended up taking this job offer in Alaska as a deckhand on a salmon fishing boat for 5 weeks.
in Alaska?
Yeah.
On a boat?
Yeah.
As a salmon fishing hand. This sounds great. Okay, continue.
Nikki, insane.
I love
like there was really no social media this wasn't that long ago, but social media was not what it is today where you could be like,
document
what's it like being, you know, you type into TikTok is a search engine, you know, there was Facebook, and so I just kind of like, I took this job and I just went and it was insane. Anyway, I made some cash and I moved to Nashville with that money.
Okay.
And then 2 of my younger sisters moved in with me and I was 21. Wow. And they were teenagers and like it was a really hard time, but they moved in with me up here and I started to clean houses and I went right down to Tootsie's and like tried to get a job there. And so I was cleaning houses and nannying and doing everything that I could. But that was when I struck off and I was like, I'm going to move to Nashville. And I had met a songwriter from here who was really well known in that area because he like was super famous. Okay. You know, everyone down there, these small towns, but his name's Rob Hatch and him and his wife became like wonderful mentors of mine, but they live here.
Great. Okay.
So he invited me over to his parents' house with him and his wife. They were doing a bonfire, and he was like, he handed me a guitar. He's like, play something. And so I did. And him and Shannon were like, you need to move to Nashville. And that was my first like.
And this was in Florida?
This was in Florida.
Florida. Okay.
And they were like, you need to move to Nashville. And I was like, it was all I needed. I just needed one person to be like, you can do something else. And so I even felt like when I moved to Nashville, I was like, okay, no matter what happens here, I will never be as poor as I've been.
Yeah.
Like I can do something here. I can grow here in this town.
And you're very self-sufficient. I feel like if you had anything, I could imagine like all the things that you had to go through. Yeah. It's like you got to learn how to just figure your stuff out. Like I felt,
yes. I had to figure it out. And then I had my 2 sisters living with me too. And that was, I had to take care of them. And so I went downtown. I just like handed out demos, and I was like, so I got hired as a staff musician at Tootsie's, and I was cleaning houses and stuff. And so that was my first breakaway from my family, really, was like, I left my mom and my sisters and the other kids behind, and I came up here. Good for you. Alaska, and then to Nashville.
Alaska, and right, the Alaska, the salmon boat stints. That's interesting. I love that.
Thank you.
Well, at least then if you need to, you can fish as well. So
that's right. I still got, I can go back. God. Golly, if I would have, the thing is, what's funny about that is like, I would not have done it if I knew what it was. So I'm kind of glad that I didn't, because
blissful naivete,
Yeah. And that when I got there, I was like, what have I done?
Yeah. But it was a cool experience.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have traded it for.
Yes.
Sometimes the best things are just like hidden out of nowhere.
Same thing with Nashville. I feel like there was a point where it is so hard. You get to where you're everyone around you is so much better than you. And you either run or you are inspired.
Yeah.
You go, I want to get better.
Or you're inspired,
Yeah, you're either intimidated and you're like, you run crying back to mama. Or you're like, okay, I want to be like this. How do I learn? Who do I connect with? Who can teach me? And I just had the latter, because there was no mama to run back to for me.
Yeah.
So it was like, I got to make this work. And I didn't even know what that
meant.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. Man, I love this. So you're here now, you're releasing music. What does the rest of 2025 look like? Do we have more coming? Do we have, tours? Let us know what you have.
Thank you. Yeah, so I have 6 songs in the can, a full-length record. And I'm really focused on just rolling that out and finishing the album. And I'm making it in Utah with my producer. He lives out there.
Fun.
I know, it's so...
Salt Lake?
Yes, Salt Lake area. Well, the Park City area. And so it's been really wonderful. I've made a lot of music for a lot of years in Nashville, and there's no better place at all. But when I started this record, I really wanted to be with someone who was a collaborator who would just let me throw paint at the wall. And I was like sort of protected in that way. Like, there's no one that I wasn't making my rounds with like a big songwriting community for the first little while. And I was just able to like dare to completely suck and write some bad songs. And I just felt I found that space. And the producer, his name's Josh Kelly.
Okay.
He is such an incredible talent.
Yeah.
And he's making music, but his creativity isn't completely spent on working with a ton of other artists. So like I get a lot of his focused, potent creativity. So that's what I'm really focused on right now, is finishing the record and getting it rolled out. And
I'm excited.
Thank you.
Are you excited? I'm excited.
I'm excited.
I'm very excited.
I'm so excited. I'm nervous. I'm scared. I'm so ready. I'm like, all of it.
Yeah.
Like, it feels insane.
Because I feel like a lot of what you went through and the story that we talked about is going to be emulated through some of this music.
Yeah.
Right?
It's very an autobiographical record. And it like from the start, it tells a story. And like, for the first time ever, I'm Cherokee through my dad's side.
Oh, nice.
And for the first time ever, I'm like expressing my native heritage through my music.
I love
and these little
your hair maybe a little bit that you have that.
Yes, yeah. And that feels incredible too. It's like growing up as kids, my dad was a park ranger, and we knew we were natives.
Sure.
But it was fun, because we were already wild and barefoot, and it was like, oh, we're Native American, but it was never like important to me until I had my daughter.
Okay.
And it was like something broke where it was like, I need her to know where she comes from, and I want her to know where I come from, and I want her to know all of this stuff. And then it started to come out like creatively in an expression that I just was, I don't know, it was just a blessing. It's really, really awesome.
I love that.
So that's a first. I'm excited to like share that.
Yes.
So yeah.
I love, okay, so you came here, started writing, you're in Nashville, you met somebody and had a family.
Yeah.
Since you've been here.
Yes. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. How does it feel to, if this is overstepping, let me know, how does it feel to be settled in one place?
Man, it feels really good. It felt really weird at first because I grew up, I kind of came of age traveling.
Yeah.
And then, my career took me back out on the road in a bus with 9 people.
Oh man, we came full circle.
It's insane. I mean, it really is. I think about it all the time, how your life prepares you for your life. Like, it's really beautiful and spiritual in that way. But yes, I mean, way nicer bus.
Sure, but still sleeping nice tracks, like on a tour bus, right?
I'm not head to feet with a sibling, but yeah. But yeah, for a long time, Nikki, I would feel very unsettled being in one place for too long. I started to feel a little itchy, and like that was definitely, this is such an overused word, but a little bit of trauma, I think. Like, I felt like if I wasn't on the move and if I wasn't stressed, I wasn't moving forward, or I wasn't progressing.
Yeah.
And so I would sometimes, like, I don't know, maybe self-inflict pain or wounds to kind of make sure I was not going to sink, or I was not going to fall back into poverty or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it took me a lot of years to feel like I could settle and feel secure. And like, obviously the right person makes you feel that way too. They come in and they're at the right time and they're the right person, but yeah, it feels really good. Like, it felt like marriage is the best ever. Are you married?
No.
Okay.
No.
It's the best ever. Get married.
Okay.
Marry your guy.
Okay.
It's wonderful. Like, I mean, my experience is great. And we have a little girl.
I feel sometimes.
Yeah. And he's a musician too, but he's in a different space. So it's really nice to have like someone who really gets it and gets the turmoil of making a record. And, he's been such an encouragement and a support, and somebody I can lean on with that. But it feels like almost a little bit unreal. To have, like, now I'm a mother. Now I have this child that, like, I get to protect her from, the stuff that maybe I couldn't even protect my siblings from. And I was in a maternal role with them, but like, they weren't my children. So there was this other person who could still come in and say, no, I'm doing this, no matter how much I tried to protect them from that.
Right.
And this is my child now.
The shots, you can raise her how you want.
Yeah, she'll never know that stuff. And I hope she has her own hardships, because I believe that, like, hardships, they make you make your way through the world in a different way, and they make you really a unique person. And she will. No one goes through life and it's perfect, like, nobody.
Right. You have your own.
But yeah, I get to really kind of, I don't know, set her up as best that I can. It feels great.
Good. Do you still value with her that, like, resourcefulness and closeness to the land and outdoor?
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh yeah, I have her eating weird plants from the dirt all the time.
I know my parents made sure I was outside playing with sticks and so outside with video games.
Yeah, she is outside. If it is not pouring rain or dangerous, she is outside.
Good.
I have her outside. I like to be outside. She's grounding. I'd never have her in shoes if she doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even though she has blonde hair and blue eyes, it's interesting. Like, so I almost died in birth with her.
Oh,
Gosh, wow. Very, very near-death experience with her. And that was a big catalyst for me being able to, like, peel back the fear and the pain that I was going to go through making this record and just do it, because I had this realization that I was like, okay, women die in childbirth all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I could have very easily been that person. And, like, if she had gone to look for music that I did, and she found, some music I had written, she would never know who I am, really. She would not know me as an artist, as a mother, as a daughter, as a friend, as a wife. Like, she would never know that. She would kind of hear my, like, festival sell beer and t-shirt.
Versus level never.
Yeah. She would never know she's a Cherokee. Like, she's blonde hair and blue eyed, like, unless someone told her that. And so that was what broke I had some fear going into these stories and, like, writing them and reliving some frankly very painful things.
Yeah.
But I did it for her. That sounds a little cliche, but
No, I
man,
love
a
that.
kid changes it all. And I was like, I want to, if I was not around and she heard this record, she would get to know me.
Mm-hmm.
And that made me feel really good. I feel satisfied.
Very
with that.
deep and introspective thing.
Yes,
that-
and
yeah, that's
if she gets to know me, then listeners will get to know me.
Exactly.
My team can know me. Like no one knows Naomi without this. So that's where it gave me a lot of strength and courage to go back and sing about this stuff.
So you could write it and feel the courage to sing it and tell your story as if only she was listening.
Yeah.
That
I fear I've made a record I won't be able to perform live.
Oh no. It brings up a lot each time.
Oh yeah. I mean, I had a full, what I would consider like a nervous breakdown during this record, like on the floor, shaking, like crying.
Mm-hmm.
And, luckily my husband was there for this. And I told him, I was like, this is my opus. I am never making another record again. Like this is, I cannot do this again. This is too painful. Like I can't. And he said something so profound. He was like, honey, unfortunately, pain is good for art. And some of the best art ever made was when the artist was in pain.
Yeah.
And like, you can do this. And I mean, I just thought of all the examples of my favorite records. That artist is like on heroin, like going through divorce, the utter shambles of heartbreak. Yeah. Death in the family, lost their husband or something. And so that really made me pick myself up and like, okay, I can do this. But I haven't performed any of these songs live yet. And I'm like,
you can do it. I have utter faith that you'll be able to do it. She's been through everything else. You can definitely perform telling your truth on stage with other people who could resonate, and like you're helping them as well.
Thank you. So, yeah, thanks.
Of course. Man, what a story. You have an incredible story.
Thank you.
And I know it's going to come out even more beautifully in your music. So make sure you guys go stream, download, check out where your website is just your name or...
Okay. Yeah, Naomi Johnson on all platforms.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Make sure you do that. And so last question. What's the craziest thing that you've ever seen or been through, experienced in either your past or like a cult environment experience? Is there like a big crazy...
Yeah. So in the cult.
Oh gosh. Okay.
I mean, there's a lot, but I think one of the craziest things that happened in there's a lot of, how do I rephrase this? Child mistreatment.
Okay.
In cults.
Yeah.
And so that was crazy. My dad was never like fully in on this. Mm-hmm. My mom is way more kind of like, she's very impulsive. She'll just dive right into stuff and then, think about it later. But my dad was always kind of like, but they wanted us to unalive our family dog. Yeah.
Just as a sign of commitment or?
Well, to them, dogs were not biblical and they were unclean. And if we had been playing with our dog, like, which we did, she was a family member.
Yeah.
The other kids wouldn't touch us or play with us or anything.
Oh man.
And my dad was like, absolutely not. We're leaving. This is nuts. Like, absolutely not. That, and then I have these weird memories on the bus. Like, that's wild. That one's crazy. But I was talking to my sister the other day and I was like, do you remember that time we were like, we got stranded all the time. Like, no money. What are we going to do?
Yeah. Just side of the road or parked in,
or in a state park somewhere. And it was really cheap back then. It's a little more expensive now, but it was like, I don't know, $10 a day sometimes.
Sure.
But gosh, there were so many crazy ones. But this one came off the top of my head. I remember this guy came knocking on the door of the bus and it was pretty late at night. And he was Native American. Mm-hmm. Probably Navajo. We were in Arizona.
Okay.
He was absolutely blackout drunk.
Okay.
Pee all down his pants. And he wanted us to follow him back into this canyon because he knew where gold was, where to find gold. And I'm honestly shook that my parents didn't do this because they were so dumb, to be honest. Like, but there's stuff like that happened all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a robbery happen one time, like while we were on the road, and crazy stuff happened. We got lost one time, me and 3 of my siblings, like way out in the desert, and like,
oh my gosh,
my parents had to call search and rescue. But we were just like, we were not in school. We would just like wander around. That's what we did. I mean, there's a lot of crazy stories from the bus. Yeah.
We found gold in the Sugar Canyon.
I just I look back and I'm like, oh, that's the one you guys decided not to follow that guy, but you wandered into this insane cult and you were like, this is rad.
This is right. Yeah.
This is rad. Yeah.
Oh man, dude.
So yeah, I've got a bunch of stories. Some are pretty long, but maybe I'll come back and tell you.
Yeah, we'll have a part 2. We'll do all the crazy stories. But no, this was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Guys, go check out music, new single recently out, and we'll look for more from Naomi.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. See you guys.